No BS, I'm going to give you a very easy exercise and concept that you can practice to improve your VFR and IFR skills while making the airplane easier to fly for you. And yes, we are in a flight simulator today. However, this exercise and this concept is something that I practice with every single student of mine in real life. And the name of the concept is control performance, which states a simple formula: pitch plus power equals performance. That might sound silly, like you have to do a little math because I said the word formula, but trust me, it's really not that bad. I'm going to give you a bunch of real world examples and an exercise to practice this. And if you can successfully complete the exercise that I throw at you today that is associated with control performance, you're going to have much better positive control of the airplane than your peers when you show up to flight school for the first time. And if you're already a student pilot, this is still going to help you. But I'll stop wasting everyone's time. Let's roll the intro and jump into the video. Just as we start the lesson, if you like these videos from me, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss one every single Sunday. And if you want to learn more from me, you can check out my video course, Flight Sim University, on Patreon. Link will be below. I teach you everything that a real-life private pilot student have to do, but from the comfort of your home on a desktop flight simulator. Let's get into control performance. And here we are in the cockpit of our Cessna 172. We're rocking the G1000 package today, but this lesson is still perfectly applicable no matter what aircraft you're flying and what avionics suite you have. Just from aircraft to aircraft, the numbers are going to change just a little bit. To start out, we're going to keep it nice and simple while learning the control performance method. Pitch plus power equals performance. And our first example is going to be straight and level flight. We're level here, 5,500, just about 100 knots, and I want you to take note of what that formula was. Pitch plus power equals performance. Now, to connect that formula to what we're seeing right now, you can look at the panel and you can also look outside to see our pitch, but to get the exact number on the panel, I've got about 2 degrees of pitch plus 2450 on the RPM, which is giving me straight and level flight, 5,500 feet at 100 knots, plus or minus 1 or 2 knots at any given time. There's a little bit of wind, so things are going to fluctuate. And unless there's a big gust of wind or something really crazy happens, the airplane's going to stay within the 1 or 2 knot window in straight level flight at 5,500 feet because 2450 on the RPM and 2 degrees of pitch grants us straight level flight, 100 knots, 5,500 feet. And you can apply pitch plus power equals performance to every single profile imaginable. I can now do straight and level flight at 90 knots. I can do it at 80 knots, 85, 75, 70, 120 if the airplane is capable of going that fast. You name it, you can do it. And to showcase this concept in a climb, I have full power right now, and I have about 8 or 9 degrees of pitch. I've got my best rated climb speed tuned up, and I'm getting about 400 feet per minute out of the airplane through 4,000 feet. So 8.5, 9 degrees of pitch plus full power is giving me my best rated climb speed and 350 to 400 feet per minute on the climb rate. And to have a nice consistent descent rate at 500 feet per minute at 90 knots, I have to do about 1 to 2 degrees of pitch, about 1900 on the RPM, and that's going to give me the performance of 90 knots and minus 500 feet per minute. Now that might seem like a bunch of mumbo jumbo and a bunch of pointless numbers for you to remember, but this can be very, very helpful for somebody that's new to an airplane and trying to learn the profiles of it. And this is especially true for new student pilots because new student pilots don't have any previous experience to pull from to implement into their training. They don't have any prior flying experience. So when they're trying to learn how to maintain straight level at 90 knots, there's no science behind it. It's all guesswork and just playing around and figuring it out. But if that student is introduced to control performance and their instructor says, hey, give me 2400 RPM, 1 degree of pitch, memorize what that sight picture looks like so you don't have to stare at the panel all the time, and then just do that to achieve 90 knots, and the student now has a factually based, like formula that they can apply to achieve that number every single time, and it's going to work like every single time. So there's no guesswork involved in it at all anymore. The student can just apply those numbers and allows them to achieve a level of performance without having to do the guesswork and working a lot less hard. So it makes it easier to learn the airplane a lot more quickly. And then as the student progresses and gains more knowledge and more muscle memory, more ability to fly the airplane, then they can start experimenting on their own a little bit more. And for the instrument students out there, this is very good stuff to know, how to maintain 90 knots straight and level when you're in a hold or doing an ILS approach. What pitch and power is going to give you minus 500 feet per minute to keep you right on the glide slope and do your approach speed of 70, 80, 90 knots, whatever it is that you're being taught. That's very useful because now there's no guesswork in trying to stay on the glide slope and stay on the localizer. All you have to do is set the pitch and the power and then just make make fine adjustments from there. And the exercise that I'm about to show you guys to help you gain more positive control of your airplane and learn the airplane's profiles a lot more quickly, it doesn't have a name. I just say speed up, slow down with students. And basically all we're doing is we're going to hold straight level flight, start at 100 knots, we're going to go to 90, we're going to go to 80, we're going to go to 70, we're going to go to 60 if the airplane can do it, and we'll work our way back up. You could do the same thing in a climb. Give me a climb at 90 knots, give me a climb at 80 knots, give me a climb at 70 knots. You could do the same thing in a descent. Descent at 90 knots, descent at 80 knots, descent at 70 knots, all at minus 500 feet per minute. And then you can see what pitch and power gives you that kind of performance. And it's not just a great exercise to learn what those pitch and power numbers are, but it's also just teaching a student how to use pitch and the power appropriately, how they coincide together, and what each of them does differently, how to isolate them as well. So you get a better feel for the airplane, you learn about what the controls do, and then you get some good performance data that you can apply to achieve those numbers again whenever you want. So I've leveled off here at 4,000 feet, taken the autopilot off, taken the flight director off, so I can't cheat during this exercise whatsoever. I remember earlier in the video, we had a couple degrees of pitch and 2450 on the RPMs, and that gave us 100 knots straight and level. So I'm going to do that again very easily over time, just going to ease my way back to being right at 100 knots. No rush whatsoever, and it's looking like it's right around 2450 on the RPMs and about 3 degrees of pitch. And there we go. Let's go to 90 knots. Now I'm on the way down to 90 knots. And a fun little thing to know in these small airplanes, whether it's an Archer, a 172, or a Cessna 152, every 100 RPM change that you make is going to be worth about 5 knots on the indicated airspeed. So we were 2450 previously. I'm losing a little bit of altitude. Now I'll go to 2240, so we're right around 200 less. And to maintain 4,000 feet, you can see the airspeed just falling towards 90. No rush whatsoever. But it was 3 degrees of pitch at 2450. Now it's about 4.5, almost 5 degrees of pitch at 2300-ish. And we can maintain this for a little bit to make sure the numbers stay the same. Here we are about 30 seconds later, right around 2300 on the RPMs, 1 knot slow, and we're right at 4,000 feet. So 4 degrees of pitch, 2300 on the RPM, 90 knots straight and level. Perfect. Let's go to 80. I've made a power reduction of about 200, so about 2100 right now. Trying not to lose the altitude, so I increase the pitch, and then very gently the speed is going to bleed off. And as you get slower and slower, you should anticipate that the angle of attack that you're going to need is going to be a couple of degrees higher than the previous number. So here we are, about 80, and I am low. So I got to cushion this with a little bit of power. And it's looking like this pitch is working. I just need a little bit of extra power to get back up to the altitude. Great lesson for students, great lesson for IFR students as well, how to cushion that altitude with a little bit of power. And as I get back up towards 4,000, I'm at my goal. There's my, it was 2,100. I started to lose a little speed, add the power back, and we're right about 80 knots, 2250 on the RPMs now, and we are 6 or almost 7 degrees of pitch, and that's working out very, very nicely. We can go to 70 very quickly. We'll just make a power reduction of a couple hundred RPMs. Maintain our heading. Been doing a pretty sloppy job on that so far. And increase the angle of attack. With the power reduction, we lose some downforce over the tail. Raise the nose up to keep the altitude, and as we raise the nose up with less power, we're going to lose some speed. And we're now just about 7.5 degrees of pitch, maintaining our altitude just fine. And as we approach 70 knots, which is our goal, we'll start cushioning this loss of airspeed with a little bit of power. Let me get back on my heading here. Been doing a bad job on that so far. And right there, 2160 on the RPM, we'll say 2150. I'm 1 knot fast, but I'm holding 4,000 like a champ. That's close enough. Let's do some climbs and descents using the same concept. And just a quick side note, I like to make students speed back up from 70 back to 80, 90, 100, but I don't want this video to be 30 minutes long, so we're just going to move on to the climbs and the descents. But you should practice speeding up and slowing down. But here we are, straight and level. No particular speed right now, but I'm going to start a climb at 90 knots. And we'll just keep on climbing until we have a good pitch and power setting established. Now, for a climb in a small airplane, it's very easy because we just slam the power forward. Make sure your mixture is leaned properly. But to maintain 90 knots in a climb, I'm trimming the airplane out right now, and it's looking like it's 5 or 6 degrees. And we're going to see what that gives us. Almost 7.5 degrees, about 7. So we'll say 7 degrees of pitch gives us 90 knots in 450 feet per minute. Almost 500 feet per minute. And then we're going to revolve just a little bit around this pitch window to maintain this as the air gets thinner as time goes on. And the descent rate will also drop a little bit as the performance of the airplane decreases with higher altitude. Let's go to 80. We go to 80, and I'll set a heading bug here. Don't have any visual reference off the nose. But to go to 80, I'll pull the nose up a little bit to bleed off some of that speed. Trimming to alleviate some of the pressure needed from my left hand. Nice and easy does it. Couple knots off right now. Couple clicks of trim. And right now we're about 8 degrees of pitch, giving us 500 foot per minute still at full power. So 8 degrees of pitch, full power equals 500 foot per minute, 80 knots. Again, as performance drops off with altitude, the pitch will change by a degree or two, and the climb rate will decrease with altitude. We can go to 70. Once again, increase my angle of attack by a couple of degrees, maintain my heading, full power still. Right now we have 10 degrees of pitch. We'll see if we can sustain this long term. Just trimming as I approach 70. We're at 10 degrees of pitch, full power, and that's giving us 70 knots at 350 to 400 foot per minute. Same deal. And then we could push the nose back down till it's about 8 degrees, speed back up to 80 knots. We could push it back down till it's about 7 degrees. That's going to give us the 90 knots. And we can do this over and over and over again and ingrain those numbers in our head. And I should be more adamant on my heading. I've been very bad about that. And now we'll transition to our descents. I've set the new target altitude for 3,000, and I want 500 feet per minute at 90 knots. Now, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, that this is going to be about 1,900 on the RPM and about a degree of pitch. So I'm trimming down right now. Increase my power slightly. We have minus 500 feet per minute. And we're just scanning the instruments, make sure we're still good. Let's go to a degree of pitch, right about there. A little less power now as we approach our speed that we want. And there we are, right about 90 knots, 1 degree of pitch. So, 1 degree of pitch plus 1,900-ish on the RPM equals 90 knots minus 500 feet per minute. Reduce the power a little bit and transition to 80. And as I transition to a lower speed, once again, I will have to increase the angle of attack. So it might be 2.5 degrees of pitch with a couple hundred less RPM. Here we go. Just trimming to alleviate the pressure. Couple clicks of trim. Every couple of knots I lose. Very little work going into this. Back on my heading. Still doing a terrible job of that. Shows you why you have to scan, why you have to keep looking, find a visual sight picture or visual reference point, or be doing a full scan of your instruments. I'm tunnel visioning. So here we are, about 1650 in the RPMs. 2.5 degrees of pitch equals 80 knots, minus 550, now minus 500 feet per minute. Very good. Now I can go to these numbers every single time. Now it's 1700 on the RPM as well. So you can see it fluctuates just a little bit, but now I at least have a ballpark, and I can establish this every time that I'm aiming for 80 in a descent and 500 feet per minute. Expand the exercise a little bit further. Let's go to 70 on the speed. A little bit of left rudder. Increase the angle of attack yet again. Probably going to be about 4 degrees of pitch. Cushion the power a little bit. Look at that. Still revolving right around 500 foot per minute. 70 knots is incoming. A little less power. We should be able to achieve that. There we are. So, pitch 4 degrees. Power 1550. Giving me 70 knots and minus 500 feet per minute. Now I can sustain this for a longer period of time to make sure that this doesn't fluctuate too much, but we're gathering some very good data. I now have performance numbers, pitch and power combinations that can give me descents, straight and level flight, and climbs all at 70, 80, and 90 knots respectively. So I can use those and apply them whenever I want to use them and take all of the guesswork, or most of the guesswork, out of figuring out that flight profile. I know that was a fast-paced video, but that is control performance in a nutshell. The real airplane, when I'm gathering these numbers, I typically have a notepad or I use the Notes app on my iPad and I write down all of the numbers. I'm doing that right now actually in the DA40 we just bought so I can distribute those numbers to new students. And if you do end up flying with me in real life, this is an exercise that I make you do on your first few flight lessons so that you can get a better understanding of the airplane. So in conclusion, pitch plus power equals performance. If you want to do straight level flight at 90 knots, I'd encourage you to figure out what pitch and what power setting gives you that so you can memorize it and apply that every single time, because 90 knots is a pretty good airspeed to use in your downwind when you're flying a traffic pattern. To do your best rate of climb speed and 500 feet per minute in a climb, that's another good one to know. 500 foot per minute descent at 80 or 90 knots, those are also good numbers to know. The more you can memorize these numbers, the faster you can achieve that level of performance that you are desiring whenever you're flying your airplane around, and the faster you're able to learn the airplane. And while control performance isn't really introduced until instrument training most of the time, I still think this is incredibly valuable for private pilot students, especially the speed up and slowing down exercise. With that, this video is over. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something valuable about control performance and that you can practice these exercises to improve your piloting skills. If you guys liked the video, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the free lessons I put out every single Sunday. If you want to learn even more from me, check out Flight Sim University on Patreon. Links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.